BIDI. Part 1. July 22, 2021. Well, BIDI is with you, and he greets you. And we are going to spend a moment together, if you wish, answering your questions, and allowing you to find yourself in the truth that you're and that nothing can dispute. So, I listen to what you have to say, what you have to question, and I invite you, as always, to go beyond the meaning of my words, to let yourself be penetrated, and to rediscover yourself in each moment. We can begin. Silence. Alisa, I'm going to see if there are some things. I'm going to go into the live. Alisa, in the audience too, you can comment on the chat. If you have any questions, I'll take them on the phone. Alisa, it always takes a while to get adjusted. If you want, I'll take the first question I saw there during the break that kept coming up, because now there's news in this chaos, where there are possibilities maybe to impose what we call here the puncture, and so for us it would be a horrible thing for the people who are a bit awake. So, people are circling around that, and the doubt is there. There's constant news of pressure to be punctured in every country in the world. So that's a little bit of what's, let's say, the order of the day in this world. I'll let you translate first. Everything that is proposed to you, everything that is imposed on you on the theater stage, is ultimately there only to put you down, and impose an illusory choice on you. You have no choice to refuse or to accept, and everything that takes place, in whatever aspect, is there only to impose your autonomy and your freedom. Everything that is happening has the sole purpose of demonstrating to you, against all odds, that the only solution is to first find your autonomy and freedom. Not the freedom to come and go so that you're never again subject to any external authority or decision. This is the price of freedom and the price of truth for you today. There's no question of saying no to anything, except to say no to the lie and yes to what you are. There can be no compromise of any external injunction coming from the illusion of life. You are always thinking in terms of a possible solution in this world, and today you see that there can be no solution that can be provided to you by a decision of this world itself. What appears to be unjust, what may appear to be dictatorial, is a formal invitation from the stage itself to find yourself. Do not look for a solution to face this theater scene, do not look for a solution to the chaos that is in front of you, but look inside yourself, look that there is nothing to see, that there is nothing to accept or refuse. All you have to do, as I said years ago, is to refute this theatrical scene and the theater will disappear by itself. Don't let yourself be seduced by any injunction. Do not let anything be imposed on you, not by compromise, not by submission, but because you're the sovereign. It is up to you to reconsider what you think in relation to what wants to be imposed on you by the illusion and the lie. Then, the yes to life, the yes to truth, will be the foundation in you of the total dissolution of the world stage and the chaos stage. All this is not real. It is all a movie. It is time to find the work, and in the end cannot be anything other than the ineffable joy of finding yourself. Do not expect anything from this world. Expect nothing from the theater and let the gladiators fight each other. The theater stage is sufficiently illuminated to allow its own self-dissolution, and to find yourself in what you are, and not to project anything else, in any role or function whatsoever. There is, above all, through this fatal injunction, an injunction to find yourselves, an injunction to no longer establish compromises, an injunction to no longer establish any contract with the illusory chaos that stands in this world. It is time to say stop. It is not a fight or a reaction, but a total surrender of all desire and function, which will allow you to no longer feed, to no longer enlighten, to no longer give your power to what is only a ghost. All the events that will take place in the next few days are only a form of inner revolution, a form of insurrection of the eternal I against the lie consciousness. thus, always ends up adhering to the illusion which destroys itself in its self-confrontation. You don't have to cry over anything on this stage, but simply cry with joy at finding yourselves as you are. The only support, the only strength, and what is true, what has always been there, is to really see this and to live it. In other words, the circumstances of this scene will always have the same resolution, to find you. You will not find anything outside that will satisfy you, except yourselves. The simple acceptance that this is so ensures your return to the truth. There's nothing to judge. There's nothing to condemn. There's only to establish the fact that there's no way out of this theater. It is time to leave the show. You don't have to react to it, you have no choice, but to simply go back into yourself. There's the real food. There's the ineffable truth. Putting an end to the swindle of the form, to the illusion of any desire in this world as well as of this world. The ease with which you accept this will naturally lead to the ease with which you live it. There has never been a theater. Creation is passing. This is the best opportunity for you to discover that you will never pass. It is extremely simple. Say yes to what is, and acceptance will burn away the illusion of outside authority, because all the disruptive elements that you will experience and watch on the surface of this world, will be each and every one of them, an opportunity to be true. As long as there is the slightest hope of this final scene in you, you cannot claim truth and freedom. Each of you has this one and only responsibility to live this. The only insurrection is neither the insurrection of the consciousness, nor the insurrection of the character, but the insurrection of the eternal I, finally forced to reveal itself to the face of this world. The moment has arrived to put an end to the unfolding of time, not by an external action, but by an internal action of silence, of interiority. It is time to look away from the hallucinatory circumstances of this nightmare and be true. Nothing is true in what you see. Nothing is true about what is happening on this stage. You do not have to judge it, you do not have to condemn it, but you simply have to turn away from it now. It is not a flight, nor a resignation, even less a reaction, but the restoration of the real in all its purity, in all its authenticity. Every element of this theater scene shows you that no authority can be accepted, that no character, not even your own, has to be accepted. The acceptance of what is the acceptance of the real. Don't live in hope or expectation, but live the breath of truth. You have nothing to do. You don't have to decide anything, because truth is not a decision. Truth is not an action. Truth is what you are, beyond all appearance, beyond all perception and contradiction. And it is now, as soon as the decision you make is precisely that it is now. There's no future moment, there's not something you have to change. It is the ultimate acceptance, unconditionally, without any transaction, that you're only that unknown source of love and light, coming from the eternal I, and simply by its acceptance, it resolves the illusion of choice, the illusion of despair or hope. I firmly invite you to go within, for this is how you'll get through what wants to be imposed on you in any way. The time has come to say yes to the truth and stop the lie. This is the only act you have to do, which is an act of silence that will allow the truth to end this world. It happens whether you accept it or not. It is beyond any desire, beyond any history, and even beyond any external decision. In other words, there's no better place than exactly where you are, at the age you are, at the place where you are, to make this choice, which is not one. I have already said that when it is the moment when you realize that you no longer have a choice, that you find yourself again, you no longer feed the least interaction in this world. And I would like to point out that what may seem out of reach today will become more and more apparent to you all as the days pass on the stage. You are the integral sovereign. You are the unspeakable truth, the unspeakable beauty that is not of any world. What unfolds on the stage is simply what passes, simply what has been decided by the play of the one consciousness in all worlds and universes, in order to remember who you are, where there is no choice, where there is no movement, where only pure bliss is true. If my words do not speak to you today, the circumstances of your bodies, the circumstances of your family, the circumstances of your country, as well as the circumstances of the cosmos, will compel you. In fact, you are forced to freedom, you are forced to the truth, whatever you may say, whatever you may question. There's nothing else to say but to find the silence of that truth. And everything is done by what you call intelligence, to allow you to go beyond habits and beyond any adhesion to what is agitating on the world stage. Let the fighters fight, they will also wake up that way. You are love, and that is how the character will go through it all. This is only a dream that is passing. This is just an illusion in its heaviest form, in its most deceptive form. And that is what is happening now. There's nothing that stands in the way of the truth, no money, no situation, no connection. Accept it within you, and it becomes the truth. It is now time to stop trying to compose or negotiate on the surface of this world. The role is over. Understand it by living it, by accepting the truth, even if today it seems so far from you. This is not true. It is only because in some way or other, in some hidden hope, in some perpetuation of some illusion of consciousness, that you are not yet living it. You have countless brothers and sisters, countless yourselves finally, who have accepted. You do not have to show any fear, because what you are in truth does not know fear. What you are in truth knows no suffering. What you are in truth knows no choice. Accept it and you live it. Silence. Brother, then I have a question, BIDI. Since on the stage we have no choice, and we can't change anything in the script, what motivates BIDI, what drives BIDI to intervene in this? As I said, to press the button that I called end, that the commander could have called, speed up the film. You can't actually change anything in the course of the theater, but your acceptance of that truth literally consumes the illusion. This means that, fundamentally, at the collective level of each one of you who is the whole, you would have a spontaneous tendency to press stop, rather than fast forward. Today it is your acceptance of the real that you're that is the end button, really. As long as there is the slightest hope of continuing the dream, you do not have the free hand to press end, the end of the life your character as of any character. And what drives me today, in a different way from my previous intervention, is what we see clearly, the acceleration of the lie, the acceleration of the film, and that it is time from now on to live by yourselves and in yourselves, that there has never been a theater. Finish the bobbin and don't stop it. Everything depends on this inner positioning. And even if today you do not live the unknown and the truth, the simple fact of deciding what I have just expressed, puts an end to this morbid spectacle. I don't know if the example is clear, but when I say that you're the integral sovereign, it is that really and concretely, the end word of the end button is nowhere else but in you. If the theater scene is unfolding in this way, more and more dictatorial, it is because you have not dared to press the end or fast forward button, and that the collective behavior of all the dreamers of this world is consisted rather in pressing pause or stop. You know full well that the entire intergalactic confederation, that all the dream peoples, that all the cetaceans who delivered the song of freedom and deliverance to you a short time ago, as well as the entire cosmos and creation, are only waiting for your goodwill, really and concretely. This is what you need to understand, this is what you need to see, this is the only meaning of my intervention. Is that clear? Brother. Yes, very good. Thank you, BIDI. I repeat that there's no better place than where you are, in the character that believes in it, in the consciousness that believes itself enlightened, or in the fear and suffering that may remain in you. It is precisely a pretext to say yes, yes to life and not to the simulacrum, yes to the sacredness of your presence, Yes to the sacredness of your absence. There's no delay, there's no distance. There's simply a point of view at the collective level that believes somewhere that there's a solution on the theater stage. I repeat, there's none. This is going to become more and more apparent to you and more easily. This is what the whole of creation is waiting for. This is what you call Nibbler is waiting for. This is what your character is waiting for. Stop the nightmare. Stop the lies. Stop the belief. Stop the hope. Man does not have to live on hope or hope. He has to live on truth. You are the end button, yourselves. Silence. We can continue. Elisa, I have another question, but it is along the same lines. So maybe I'll leave it. There's another one that says, in summary, this one I might ask, it also goes in what you answered, but maybe there's some. Elisa, even though we know, and we are constantly told that we are nothing in this game and that nothing exists, it is very difficult to assimilate it, and even to be able to listen to it. Why is that? Because there's the habit, that the man is a being of habit. Because the character as well as the consciousness are afraid of the unknown. Accept that you're the unknown, go beyond the fact of knowing it. It is not a problem of knowing, it is a problem of conviction or of adherence simply to this unknown. This unknown, which others have called time zero or the present moment, really knows no world, suffers no circumstances. There's nothing difficult, there are simply habits, there is simply unconsciously the fear of the unknown. This creates suffering, it creates distance that does not exist. You don't have to make an effort, it's much more of the order of the release of a conviction that goes beyond any faith, that goes beyond any belief. It is an intimate mechanism to accept that you're the unknown with sincerity. You are the sovereign, you are the real, and you're not the reality of any world. You just have to put that down, like I would say an equation to put down, but it is not you who solves the equation, but precisely the unknown that you are. And I also repeat that as long as it seems difficult to you, as long as it seems to you as it was said to have difficulty, as long as it is difficult to you, it is not necessary to lie to you, it is simply still that you believe, by unconscious injunction or by adhesion, in some solution on the stage of theater. No truth can come from the stage. No truth can come from your consciousness. The only truth is the eternal I that you cannot seek, but can simply accept thereto. The acceptance of the unknown ends all doubt, ends all fear and suffering. If you're honest, if you're completely sincere, then you live it. It can't be otherwise. Don't blame yourself, don't blame your conscience, because you're none of those things. It is a decision that ends the distance, it is the acceptance of it that ends all lies, and it is an increasingly natural and spontaneous resolution. And I repeat firmly, that as long as you have any hope, any expectation for anyone in this world, you are not free. You are creating resistance and distance. Accept the unknown, and you will know it. Dive straight into this uncertainty that you're experiencing, dive straight into what seems unknown to you, and you will find yourself. It is a total certainty. It is in this ultimate action that the only certainty lies. The more uncertain you seem, the more you release the pressure on yourself and on this world, the closer you get to the truth. In fact, you have never been separated from it. In fact, it has never been absent, it is simply an omission, an oversight. Remember that there is no effort involved, it is the simplest thing, it is the most natural thing, and when you know it, it will appear to you as it is. You will no longer be able to ignore yourself, you will no longer be able to doubt, you will no longer have any hope in this world, you will no longer fear anything, you will be in ineffable purity and joy. This is already within you. Silence. What do you mean? Brother, I have another question. Let's go. Brother, We realize that in this world, events do not take place in the same way from one country to another. Why is that? Because each country has a different history, because each country undergoes an astral and etheric programming, which determines the collective conditions have the people of a given country. The stage, as you say, may indeed be different in different countries, but the purpose is exactly the same. And that if you're in this country, which you may judge easier or more difficult than another, there's no need to flee to that other easier country. This is also the acceptance that you're exactly in the right country, at the right time, at the right age, and in the circumstances that are yours. All this serves the truth, and just as what is imposed on you also serves the truth. Do not trust appearances, do not trust the circumstances of your country and your life. Just ask yourself about yourself, and affirm what you are, this unknown that you may not yet be living, and which is only waiting for you. Before the truth, no link, no nationality, no age can hold. But the circumstances of the dream that are specific to you, according to the state of your body, and the state of your character, I repeat, are the most favorable conditions for the eternal I that you are. Do not judge anything, do not weigh the pros and cons, and dive into this unknown. It is the only solution, there's no other. And it will become clearer and clearer to you. It is up to you. All the worlds are there, in the middle of your chest, ready to appear on the stage, on the cosmos. Even though it may seem incongruous or impossible to you today, you are the one who really presses the end word. No one else, no hierarchy, no dimension, no parent, no child, no society, no country. It does not depend on that, it depends only on you. Accept it and you live it without discussing it. Silence. There's no time, there's no space, there's no dimension, there's no world. There's only you and your nobody. That is the unknown, that is the absolute truth. You will never pass. Silence. Elisa, I have a question later. Silence. Before leaving the next question, I will take advantage of what Abba told you this morning in an experience with me. As Abba was walking through the dimensions, I appeared to tell him that this was also cinema, and I told him that he did not need any cinema or any scenery, that there was nothing to know or to see, that there was nothing to demonstrate, but to simply be in the instant and that the results would appear by themselves. This is where the agate resonances appeared and spread, their natural realizations without intention and without anyone. It is this example that you must apply in the theater scene. All this is done without you by leaving the sham character, by leaving this line consciousness, and precisely by accepting that you have nothing to do, that you have nothing to undertake in relation to this theater scene or in relation to this consciousness. Be in silence, accept the unknown, and the enter fast forward button will engage itself. The unknown will become known to you, you will immediately remember who you are and it will be the same for every part of you. Every part of you being every other part of this world, but also every other world. This has been called the end of the creation myth, the end of the dream and the illusion, which in truth never began. There's no time, no space, no dimension, there's no one. You are absolutely nothing of what is happening, you are absolutely nothing of what is happening, you are the eternal and absolute I. Affirm this and it will be known to you immediately. You will not be able to forget it and you will see the collapse of this myth. It will be consumed entirely by the real that you are. The world is held together only by your adherence to this own delusion, this own nightmare. Be honest to recognize it by living it. Silence. So, you had another question. Elisa. Yes. The vast majority of people on this world, I say the vast majority, that's what I think, are living the illusionary world and want to live this illusionary world and are comfortable in this illusionary world. They are not living in a nightmare. They have projections and they're happy. They want to continue this world. They are absolutely not concerned with what we are talking about. They don't want to hear it because they don't feel that way. What will it be like? Elisa. I say it in Spanish. BIDI answers shouting loudly, but there's no one. What are you doing? The others are just glimmering of yourself. Why do you care about the others? Why do you care what others think or dream? You don't have to decide for them. Decide for yourself and that's it. It is still to consider that there are others. Let the dreamers dream, they too will experience a final word. As soon as you accept that you're not in opposition or contradiction, accept that all the others are only you and that they are simply showing you that you too are dreaming. There's no one to convince, there's no one to wake up. As long as there's that vision or the thought, you can still wait a long time. I'm not asking you to deal with that. Don't ask yourself a stupid question. Look back at yourself and you will see that everyone else you see today is just you. It is your own procrastination, your own assumptions that you call thoughts that prevent you from living it right. I call it divine indifference. The commander has told you from the beginning and still today, mind your own business. There's no one. Why do you insist on seeing the dreamers at all costs? It just proves that you haven't understood what you are. Elisa, that was a question, laughing, and that there's still many of you who are distancing yourselves by asking these kinds of questions. You do not have to know the others, but as soon as you know, like the previous question, do not care about anything but yourself, you have no one to save. Wake up yourself and everything else will follow. But as long as you're in this kind of questioning, it means that, in you, there is still the need to experience consciousness and to dream. Everything you see is only you. There's no other. You are in each other, you are all others, even those who want to constrain you, it is you. Do not look for the ins and outs, press the button. Elisa, BIDI, I pass on the questions. But I got it right. Elisa, okay. But this is for all of us. There's no particularity or personal animosity. Stop thinking that the thoughts pass. Don't give any credit to what you see. You are beyond that. There's no executioner. You are your own dictator. Accept that. When you sleep, do you wonder about any punctured dictatorship? No. Well, sleep all the time, and you will wake up. It's not a picture. You are not looking in the right place. The dictator is you. The sting is you, and there's no one, go figure. It's a fool's game, a game of mirrors. We all just forgot that we put the mirrors there. Elisa, did you have a question? Sister, hello BIDI. Hello. Sister, each of us still has more or less a job. What job? Speaking even louder. Sister, I don't ask any more questions. You mean an activity? Sister, yes. And then? Sister, so, what? As long as you have this activity without too much resistance, as long as everything is going well, does it mean you still have to be there, in that place there? And what's stopping you from pushing the button? Activity or no activity? Sister, well, yes, there's no answer. Sister, you can always push the button. But I think it's more of a concern of the character not to, it's just that. Sister, not being able to pay the rent, not being able to, it's just that that's still kind of up in the air for me. Maybe for other people too. Still need to work, but yes, you can push the button. When you find very quickly that there's nothing left to feed, there's nothing left to serve, you will not be able to buy or sell, because there will simply be nothing to buy and nothing to sell, then you will realize. The obligations of this world were part of the acceptance of the here and now, of your role or function, which was your adherence to the stages of theater, of your theater. But what I say today is not the opposite nor contradiction, but an dictation to make you realize that it is up to you to press end. You have nothing left to feed except the real, and that the moments will come for each of you or the word end will appear, and I repeat that, for each of you who is the same, that the moment of the word end has come. That there is no longer any need today to feed anything but the real. The more you are in the real, the more you penetrate the eternal I that you have always been, the less you will be able to get involved in any struggle or perpetuation of anything. This moment has come, check it out, live it. There's no alibi that holds even the one to accomplish your task whatever it is. In other words, this is really the end of everyone's scenario. And what you call the collective moment is only the understanding of this. It is in this that I say again and again that you're the integral sovereign. There's no alibi, you have nothing to preserve. You have to be today, authentic, not with the character or the stage, but with the acceptance of who you are, of this unknown which only asks to be known and lived. Everything else will then move away and the collective moment will approach, and that all that you apparently still live as constraints is only a nightmare that will move away from you, that will no longer have a reason to exist, just like the world, just like creation. You are the eternal present, you are the indescribable presence, and if we may say so, even more indescribable absence. It is no longer time to tell stories. It is no longer time to tell yourself anything. It is time for the complete actualization of the real, whatever you may think of it, whatever the laws of this comedy and the orders of this dictatorship may say, which are, I remind you, only yourselves. Except that you decide nothing, and you will decide the collective moment. Love or suffering, the truth of love or the illusion of suffering and lies. You all feel it, it has gone on long enough. Silence. Elisa, I need a little pee. Sister, I understood well BIDI, thank you. I will take this opportunity to finish your question. Hello. You don't have to decide anything on the theater stage. You have to decide inside, because the way you phrase the question, you would think that the character decides to let go of this or that. Sister, a little more. That would be a misunderstanding. I'm talking about what is not a choice, but what is inner, if you prefer an inner decision. I thought I had made it clear, and whatever you are concerned about today is going to fade away, is going to flare up and is going to disappear on its own. It is not a decision of the character, because as I've always said, I'm not addressing the character, I'm not addressing the observer or the witness, I am addressing the eternal I that is in everyone. It is the eternal I that finally decides to reveal itself. Ignore the gesticulations of your character, ignore the gesticulations of your thoughts, because you're none of these. This is what I say. Silence. My words today, the intensity with which I address your eternal I, will destroy any dreams that may remain, any and all beliefs in the reality of the theater stage. It is unstoppable. It cannot be discussed and it must be lived. Silence. You tell me when I have busted your ears too much. Elisa. No, I would like to pee. Then we'll have to be quiet for 2 minutes. Just until you come back. Take advantage of this pee to join the silence. Silence. Elisa, I'm back. I'm back. Let's continue, then. Silence. Elisa, yes, there's a question. Brother, yes, I have a question BIDI. Can we consider that the moment we are living now, in these questions with BIDI, are also a projection that we are doing in the illusion to make us wake up? Your question has been answered. When I said that I am not addressing the character, that I am not addressing the stage, but the eternal I that has always been present, my words are not simply what is heard, are not simply what is perceived, are not only what is projected in the illusion, but which comes to touch the real, which is what you are. Silence. This is the answer. All that we have exchanged today was only for the ultimate mission of shaking the eternal I, to clear the way. My words are not to be understood, they are to be lived. In this sense, they cross all projections, they cross all characters and address themselves directly to the real. Silence. Elisa, it's crazy for the character. The crazier it is, the more it will move. Silence. I used to say when I was incarnated, that the search for the truth will end your world. And I say, today, that the living of the truth puts an end to all creation, to all illusion, to the myth of creation, and unveils the real in totality. It is much more than a great joy or a great silence. It is a pure felicity and also a relief. For what remains of the character, for what remains of the dreamer, I have come to consume your ultimate desires, your ultimate hopes or despairs, exposing you to the pure reality of that which will never pass. Silence. Elisa. Yes. Brother. A question to BIDI. Does it make sense to invite BIDI to our own sacred heart fire? Yes, because at that moment, there will be a fusion, and you will see that you're as much BIDI as I am yourself. This will participate in the end of the illusion of distance, the illusion of any character or any consciousness. Indeed, the moment has arrived when the fire of the Sacred Heart sets the theater ablaze. It is also a way to press the end button, to verify that there was never a button either. It is a total fusion in the real. So even the agape resonances, as named by Abba, are no longer just a resonance, are no longer just agape, but a total merge with the real. This is also the fact, by this very fact, of pressing the end button. The moment, if you want it, to announce the good news to each of the others, to live the good news on the theater stage of this world as in the theater stage of any dimension. You are the master. Elisa. So, the same person who asked the previous question, says, so, even agape is part of the game. Nothing exists, we're prior to agape. Of course, I just said that. The agape resonance has made you experience love, agape, but even love is a projection. You are the untold. You are the all. And you're the nothing. You are prior to the light. You are prior to love. And you'll be after death. You are the eternal I that has never appeared and will never disappear. You are the unutterable without form, without world and without consciousness. There's the only freedom and the ultimate truth. It is absolute. It is indelible. It is imprescriptible. And it is indissoluble. Such is the fusion of the real and the illusion. Such is the freedom that knows neither inside nor outside, that knows all the characters, and that is ultimately none of the characters. The sting, as you'd call it, is the ultimate act of your awakening. Abba said that ultimately and from the point of view of the absolute, sting or nidder, is the same word and. But as he also told you, being healthy is more comfortable than being in pain. But health and suffering are part of the same illusion. You still have to live it. And it is you who decides that. Silence. Sister, is the only way to be right is to stay. Can you repeat in French, on the side? Elisa, the only right thing now is to surrender in our heart of the heart. This can be done through the silence. At some moments you have been told to seek nature, the company of nature. I tell you today that the natural state is the great silence. Silence. Is it also time for me to be silent? Elisa. Yes, we have been here for almost 2 hours. So, I propose that we meet again. Elisa. There's one more question. So, let's go. Brother. It's really a curiosity. Will BIDI be there at the final scene? At the time of the white paradise, at the time of the ultimate wedding, you will see, of course, without regret and without desire, that you have been absolutely all the characters of creation, without any exception. You will see all the worlds, in the time of an immutable instant. You will see all the worlds and all the creation, and you will leave this without any regret. It is part of the process. It is part of the unspeakable peace. And it is part of the ultimate. You will see for yourselves that there has never been time, that there has never been space, that there has never been creation, and that there has never been destruction and dissolution. This is the total fusion with the real. You will see the dream for what it is. And you will see that you're the eternal, absolute and indescribable I, who was never born and who never died. This is the bliss of the present moment, the bliss of zero time, where nothing contains everything and everything contains nothing. Silence. I will end this first part with these words. The time has come for time zero, the time has come for that which never has to come, because always present and always absent. I give you the blessing of the real and I say to the last part. See you all later. All. See you later. Through Jean-Luc Ayon. With Elisa Bernal. July 22, 2021. English translation. LMF.